Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now. If you want to have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me now.
Yeah, we're having a good time, You know, this is what I want to look at. I want to look at a Mediterranean map. Let me go ahead and I pull up Mediterranean. And, you know, the thing that you see is how much history there is in, and it keeps wanting to give me Mediterranean, Arizona. But, you know, I'm looking at, let's try North Africa. Because if you look at the map, what you're seeing is that, oh my goodness, there are a lot of history. There's a lot of history being made throughout the decades, the centuries in here. Now, let me go ahead and see if I can pull this up where you can see it. Now, we have Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. All of them having their issues. Started in Tunisia, Libya, Gaddafi, he's got some concerns. You have over towards the right over here. Let me go ahead and pull this in tighter. You have the heck with these guys. Now, what I'm going to do is pull this up during the break, and I want to make sure that we have the ability to see the map here because you have so many countries that are so close to each other that are not just Arabic. You go straight across the Mediterranean, I mean, you know, the distance it takes to go from Georgia to North Carolina or something in a lot of places, all of a sudden you're on the European continent. You know, these people are intertwined. Certainly, as with the Western culture, we've gotten our banking system all, you know, nutted up with these guys. And we have our national interest, where the heck that is. And we have our allies and alliances with Israel. That we are so enmeshed in Egypt and what happens there that I'm afraid that we're going to have to choose government interest over the rights of the individual. And there's no one out there. There's no out in the open somewhere that you can go to that represent what's really going on. It's not about just having high wheat prices. It's not about, you know, I don't get to have a license so I can sell oranges. It's about the basic human freedoms of just being allowed to sustain yourself, allowed to compete, allowed to break the monopoly. So I'm going, you know, I need, you know, someone that's going to be able to break through like Ron Paul did in 2008 and with issues like the Federal Reserve. And on a global scale, who's going to be the voice to say, you know, it's about self-ownership. You inject that into the youth of the world, it's all freaking over. It's all over. Lee, help me out, man. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to tell them about it. Going to educate. This is what we got to do. You know, we talked a little bit about it when I was there in Arizona. You know, we need to teach the teachers. We spend way yonder too much time explaining ourselves because our enemies are painting us to be something that we're not. We need to spend more time telling people what it is to be libertarian. What does libertarianism mean? It's not just a political philosophy. I mean, that's a branch of it. That's an area that I've chosen to work in, you too, in a kind of a way. But it's much more than that. Libertarianism is a way of life. It's an individual choice of the way you're going to live your life, that you're going to govern yourself and not need anyone else to tell you what's good for you, what's not good for you, what you should ingest into your body, how you should raise your children, how they should be educated, what the price of your goods should be. None of these things should be regulated by government. They should be regulated by individuals working with each other. That's why I've made such a big deal about this stop the war business with my campaign. I understand one of the issues that came up in Arizona again was crafting this more as a positive message, as pro-peace, which of course we are pro-peace. But there's nothing more positive than stopping war. There's nothing more positive than stopping the killing of other people's children. This is something that we need to do. We need to stop talking about things, and we need to do something to bring about peace, because when peace comes, prosperity comes. Everyone benefits from it.
I don't know if you know this.
You have prosperity.
On Freedom's Phoenix today, I was looking. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. They were talking about Marines are starting to be deployed over to Egypt. United States Marines. Here we go. And that is in support of what for whom?
America's interests, whatever the hell that is.
What do you think?
We have been falling for it for generations. We taught our children that we do all these things in the interest of America, national interest. And it's used as a cloak to put across anything that they want to do, from take somebody's oil from them to take land from them, or just because you don't like who's running the country. Whatever reason they need, they slap national interest on it, and boom, all of a sudden it's okay. And there's this patriotic wave across the land to support our troops. You want to support the troops? Bring them home. Bring them home to their families now.
You know, I got your article up, Who Rules Egypt is None of Our Business. You know, what do you think of going one step further and having the concept of not being ruled? I mean, you know, if you can...
That's up to the Egyptians. If that's what they want, more power to them. And if they take that attitude, I might decide to move over there myself. But this is not something that should be dictated to people. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I said we need to leave them alone. And as America, we should be setting that example and encouraging nations, and our allied nations certainly, to leave these people alone. Let them work it out for themselves.
Well, what do you think the Libertarian Party, let's talk about the Libertarian Party's history. You know, in the past, throughout, since 9/11, I haven't got the impression that they have really articulated an anti-interventionist foreign policy, an anti-giving people money and foreign aid, an anti-war. You know, I can't believe in 2008 they didn't embrace that. So now we're going, you know, into the 2012 election cycle, and I'm wanting to know, when you advocate no war or peace, that manifests itself how? I mean, where do we stop the war? How do we bring them back? Who do we advocate it to? What's your plan?
Well, my plan is to get elected and just bring them home. Nobody else seems to want to do it, so I'll do it myself. That is the point of a president. I mean, if you're into foreign policy, then the president is your guy. If you're into domestic policy and tax changes and stuff like that, don't believe the lies that the president's telling you. Your guys are the people in Congress. They're the ones that have the power. The only real power the president has is in foreign policy. That's why I speak about these things. It's a matter of, we got to control the budget. We got to control the military and the spending. We're in, 180 countries all over the world? And every place we are is just another war waiting to happen because we're there.
So what do you think is going to be, you know, the advocacy to individuals? I mean, there are people that are willing to hear this message. We saw it in 2008. So now we're looking at a situation to where, you know, can we expect that there would be some kind of a, well, that's one thing to talk about when we come back here in the next segment. I'm going to be pulling up a Google Earth to give you guys a feeling of the geography of what we're dealing with here. This has already started. In fact, last night, CNN was making a big deal out of, you know, like today's the day kind of deal. But even after the people clear the streets, there's plenty of work to be done. But it's not just there. It's here. It's all of us. And who's going to represent it?